Commission meeting for October 17, 2023. Would you please take roll, please?
Tim Van Hookey.
Here.
Katie Harrington.
Here.
Edwin Woolhoff.
Here.
Melissa Gunn.
Here.
Matthew Wells.
Here. If you will, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day, and we thank you for this opportunity to gather here and to serve. Just pray that you continue to give us wisdom as we attempt to do so. I just pray that you would be with the city employees and staff and all the public servants, that you would continue to place your hand upon them and protect them. We just thank you for your many blessings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. We have one requested change to the agenda, which is to add an item G to new business, which would be consideration of the new Lake Advisory Board.
Move to accept the addition of item G to the agenda for the Lake Advisory Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Katie Harrington.
Yes.
Edwin Woolhoff.
Yes.
Melissa Gunn.
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey.
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes. Next item would be the consent agenda. Anyone have any questions or concerns?
Brad, in the document that was here for the quarterly, what would you know off the top of your head, what was changed in this quarterly treasurer's report?
Do believe it's the amount that we put in the bank.
Anyone else have a question or concern?
No, I don't, but I did want to let the folks know in the gallery know that right after the approval of the consent agenda, we are going to call for an executive session, very short, and we'll be back out to do that. Just wanted to let you know that ahead of time that the public speaking and stuff like that will be delayed by just a few minutes.
Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
I move to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Katie Harrington.
Yes.
Edwin Woolhoff.
Yes.
Melissa Gunn.
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey.
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes.
I move that the City Commission recess into executive session for the purpose of legal matters pursuant to the attorney-client privilege exception in KSA 754319B2. In that meeting will be the 5 city commissioners, the city attorney, the city manager. It will be for 10 minutes in the city manager's office. We'll return back into this room at 6:14.
We need a general topic. We have to declare a general topic to go into closed.
That is
Oh, that is
not.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second. I'll second.
Well, now we might be 6:15.
Edwin Woolhoff.
Yes.
Melissa Gunn.
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey.
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes.
Yes.
We're gonna go back in and you can go with us.
Motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Second. Second.
Evan Wolhoff,
Yes.
Melissa Guns,
Yes.
Tim Vanderkee,
Yes.
Katie Harrington,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes.
Move that the city commission recess, bear with us, folks, into executive session for the purpose of discussion of legal matters pursuant to attorney-client privilege exception in KSA 754319B2. Within the executive session will be Mr. Kendall Schoenrock, the 5 city commissioners, the city attorney, the city manager, and the city manager's office for, should only need 5 or 10?
Better do 10.
10, for 10 minutes. We'll be, we will reconvene in the city commission room at 6:26.
Second.
Melissa Guns,
Yes.
Tim Vanderkee.
Yes.
Evan Wolhoff.
Yes.
Katie Harrington. Matthew Wells.
Yes.
everything, around those responses.
Motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
We have a quorum. You can take it off.
Melissa Guns,
Yes.
Edwin Wolhoff,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes. Motion, we go back into executive session for legal matters pursuant to. We're going back.
No, I don't think
Are we
need to
done?
go back. So,
There was no consensus about what we're doing.
Okay.
well, we can't have a consensus in there.
We can't have a vote, no.
No.
Do what you gotta do.
I don't think,
I'm
I'm
doing an open session at this point.
Okay, open session's good.
I'm not now.
All the heat's going in, Brad. Did we come out?
Yes, we are. We're good to go. All right, we'll move on with our public comments for the evening. Michael Hoyt.
It's been so long, I forgot.
All right, let's move on then.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let me see, am I turned on here?
Blue light.
Yeah. Most of what I wanted to speak about this evening is on the agenda, so at the risk of being dog whistled down, I won't speak to those matters. But I did have a concern after watching the land bank meeting yesterday. They went into an executive session, much like what you just did now, inappropriately, under a B2, which requires an attorney to be present. And
There was an attorney present. He was on the phone.
okay. But we were never notified or were we made aware of that information, because when you came back, and I think you corrected the error, let me finish, there was no sound. So, in a recap, then, you should have said you had Mr. Farmer on the phone.
Well, yes, that was the intent of coming back out and going back in was.
Yeah, that's what we
No.
thought, that's what we all seen that.
So,
But we could not hear that, there was no
Well,
sound.
but you were aware that there was a meeting, so you could have come in here, if you were interested in hearing what was going on.
Well, that's not a reason.
The YouTube video is not required.
It may not be required, but we sure as heck paid for it.
It's convenient
We paid for it.
for people that don't wanna come in and be physically here, but it is not required, and we do have proper record of it.
Okay, this is not a discussion, this is my comments, okay? So, we paid for that YouTube equipment and we are expecting it as a convenience to be provided by the city. If we didn't wanna pay for it, or if you wanna give us our money back for it, then you could not use it. But to go to the fact that it's a requirement is a cop-out. Now, is the land bank covered by COMA? That's the question. I've done some research today on Attorney General opinions, and just because it's funded by the city does not mean that they are COMA, covered by COMA. So an executive session still would have been inappropriate, because you cannot make a decision in that body that doesn't have to come to this board for ratification. And I have at least 2 Attorney General opinions here. Now, I need some help from other folks, and I put these out at the county, and they used up the supply of them. But this is kind of the cliff notes of Cora and COMA, and I happen to have about 4 copies, and I'll leave them at the back, and whoever would like to take them. I have 50 more to put together, but it takes a little time to put these splines on there. But as I said, it's just the cliff notes. I have the full vote version, and if you should have a question, I can't give you legal advice, but I can point you to where, because I have the full 3-ring binder version of each one. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, one other thing, I don't know if I left town before Constitution Day or not, but I did. Did I miss out? Okay, so, you know, my age, I forget things.
We appreciate it, thank you.
I thought, wake up, Bob.
I'm awake.
You're supposed to say something.
Listen to everything you said. I just wanted the comments.
As there is no one else on the public comments for this evening, that closes the public comments, and we'll move on to our old business. Item 8, consideration to approve the corner main quotes for the purchase of the water main insertions. Bill Lemke.
You ran away.
I know that they did go out and dig up at least one of them and found it to be 42 inches instead of the 46. So I believe this request, here it comes.
Are we smaller? Are we smaller?
No. We'll have to buy the elbows and the exits.
Last time I was here, I presenting, pricing for two 16-inch insert valves and a 6-inch insert valve. We needed to gather some more information to find out exactly what we need. I've had time to do that. I think he has in there, a new quote from Core and Main for $88,850. That's the one I'm asking you to approve. The one from Municipal Pipe Supply, I found out that they do not do a 90-degree operator on it, so that doesn't do us any good. When I took a look at the depths at the two locations for the 16-inch valve, at 4th and Horton, we found an area on the north side of the road that's within the easement. It's a grassy area. Our estimated depth on the main would put us at 7 inches above grade. Because we're in a grassy area, we believe we can regrade that so that it will work without having to lay the valve on its side and use the actuator, the 90-degree actuator. The one in Second and Holbrook, however, the estimated depth of the grade will put it 17 inches above street level. So we have to put that one on its side. The one that's at Wall and Eddy, we don't believe will pose a problem. We believe we have sufficient depth there. It's a smaller valve, so there's less rise height on it. And we believe it will be sufficiently deep enough there to connect it out.
So Bill, the valve you're replacing because you realized you needed a different one, the cost difference between the one that you were going to use and the one that you now require?
The cost difference.
Because I mean, I see this one's like $88,000.
Yeah.
What was the last?
What that is, that the $88,850, what I did there was, the quote that Core Main sent, was for doing two 16-inch valves, both with 90-degree actuator. So I also had the previous quote with them just standard. So I took $45,350 for one at 90 degrees, and then $35,850 for one that's standard. That's how I came up with that $88,000.
Okay.
So I didn't actually break down and figure out what the actuator cost.
That's what I believe it was. I just wanted to confirm it.
Yes.
And thank you for digging in and taking a look at those.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, it was going to be such a pain to get it from them. I had called back 2 or 3 times.
All right, so we're looking for a motion to move forward with the installation of these valves on the 16-inch line.
I move to approve, purchase and installation of the valves in the amount of $88,850, for the main insertions of 4th and Horton and Wall and Eddy.
Is there a second?
Second.
Edwin Woha,
Yes.
Melissa Guns,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Katie Harrington,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes.
I did.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Next item up is discussion of the splash pad drain options. Jason Dickman.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I think we went out there last week and looked at that site. And based on there not being a manhole where it turns, we proposed with the contractor to take it to the next manhole to the north. And he gave us a cost to do that of $38,500. That includes, that's 235 feet of 6-inch drain, which covers 110 foot of concrete repairs where we're crossing the driveway and pavement back there with flow fill. So
Will they be able to use the same sewer line for the restroom that's going in down there?
yeah, so at the end of the day, the main benefit will be that. So you will have some place to tie in the bathroom drain.
What was that cost again, just?
38,000.
38,500.
And that's, again, that will allow us to at least recoup that water to the water treatment plant for the lagoon or whatever, and it's not just gonna run down the river.
Yes, it will not go to the river, but it does go to all the sewer water from the city collection system goes to the Davis lift station first. So what goes to the lagoons is really just overflow, so there's not really a big impact on that. We're working on alternatives to recirculate some of that lagoon water back through, but this does not impact that. So the biggest benefit for this would be a planned bathroom, and we'll have a place to drain. Super. So, but that kind of puts some cost on this instead of the bathroom, because it'll be, if you're gonna put that bathroom all the way as far north as you can in that lot, then
It's
you'll
gonna
be
go-
really close to
I
that.
believe they have it proposed to go in that far north corner, right past the end of where the parking lot is, right next to where that tree is. If you look, there's a site map that Bailey and them have drawn up that shows the border of the buildings. I believe that's where they have it located.
Yeah, so as long as it's to the north, then we've got, that's a good location to tie. Because we can, I'll talk to the contractor and see if he can, when he puts that in, if he can drop a Y in there and put a clean out up so that we know where to tie in to the bathroom. Which there may be some cost in that, but
So then what we would need actually would be some type of formal proposal from them that we could vote on in the next meeting. Because I mean, I think that's just my opinion.
yeah, because you're
Pretty
basically
slick deal.
negotiating with them directly, so.
I think it would be beneficial to make sure we get with the splash pad committee and find out the exact location of where the bathroom's going to be and see if there's any additional work that we need to do to make sure that there's a line right there to hook up for the restroom.
I was just gonna say, do we need to go ahead while we're having concrete torn up, go ahead and put in a water line to where the bathrooms are gonna be?
I believe Bill can speak to this, but I think they already put a well in there that has the water connections. Is that correct,
Yes,
sir?
water service is already provided for.
Yes.
I thought of that as splash pad was going in and took care of it at that time.
Smart man.
That's what we'd like to know. Not the only reason we want to do that. But yes, we're gonna do that. Let's make sure and verify the location of the bathroom if we can, Jason.
With it,
Next, we'll move to our appearances for this evening. First appearance is Corey Bryers on behalf of Care to Share to report on the Fort Fest, the extremely successful and awesome.
Thank you. Do I need to hit this, right?
If it's on blue, then it's on.
It's not blue. Oh, there it is when I talk. Okay. So, Corey Breyer, representing Care to Share. I'm the face you see and have seen, at least in these meetings, but Care to Share made this happen, not me. It's testament to the team that put the event together, the work they did, the community they have built and served well before I was ever here, and a testament to this city and what they do and how they rally around worthy causes. I want to thank Lisa for her overall coordination of our efforts with the city. I want to thank police, the streets, whoever hung the banners, maybe it's them, maybe it's someone else. The sidewalk that was built from the bridge north into the park, I think that is still serving a purpose and will every day. I see people on it all the time. I want to thank the City Commission, Riverfront Park Commission, and Brad, thanks for spearheading this through the city. Bobby Kemna helped us organize this. And Bill Martin, two names maybe you don't hear every day together, but they both made comments after the event that it was maybe one of the first times they'd seen a gathering that size. Zero violence, no issues. We had a blast. So thank you. I have no clue on head count. We didn't sell tickets. I walked Twister Trailers parking lot. There's at least room for 300 cars, and I know it was full most of the day, and I know people were coming in and out. I know there were cars in the Evergy lot, and I know there were cars on the south side of Riverfront Park. My guess is we probably saw 1,000 cars through there through the day, maybe even at 750. And if we call it 1.5 per car, I'm trying to be conservative on each estimate. We had 1,250 heads walk through that park that day. Could have been 2,000, very easily. Bump those numbers just marginally, and we're hitting 2,000. And yet we had no issues other than a whole lot of fun. Financials, the city gave us $5,000 and a whole lot of manpower. Thank you. We also raised another $25,000. So prior to your giving us that $5,000, and as part of it, I believe, the cities perhaps, or maybe you already have, and I'm not aware, you've instituted maybe a tighter rein on when and how you're gonna get funds. We support that. We think it's good stewardship, and we want to report back and set a good example. So we got 5 from you guys. We raised another 25 from the community, and those were direct sponsorships or donations. We have no way of knowing if someone left a memoriam because they heard about this through our recent higher profile. But there are people leaving more memoriams to Care to Share than ever before. So what we're doing is working. Thank you. We spent close to 20,000, not quite. So we made a good 13,000 on this. These are big numbers for what is a grassroots charity. And for the listening audience, I want you to realize that every penny of that either goes towards generating more income for our cancer fighters and their families, or it just pays the expenses for those events that allow us to raise that money. We're 100% volunteer. We get the help of you guys, the help of our sponsors. And normally we try to budget somewhere around $5,000 a month to just help people. $20 gas cards or pay for a hotel room, whatever it might be that they need on their journey. Last year, we spent $97,000. That's more than 5 a month, more like 8, right? So we generated with Fort Fest over a month's worth of what we put back into the community. And we did it, we have a lot of people hours in this, but it was a great teamwork. We all grew together with it. We've raised a profile in the community. And like I said before, we have no clue how much money is actually coming in because of it in this profile. But we know that with Fort Fest, and we could do this exact same thing next year with probably 2/3 of the expenses. Because a lot of this was first time. Things we needed last minute that I'm sure someone would have donated, we didn't have time just to go get it and buy it. So we're interested in the impact on the city. I don't know if there's a way to discern that. I know there were other events in town, significant and large events. I imagine tax revenues were up for the weekend. I'm not getting full transparency from some of the vendors, but I'm just really confident they had a better day than had they been in their normal shops and stores. We hope we set a precedent for more use of the park in ways that bring the community together. So with that, if you have questions about Fort Fest or Care to Share and your support of it, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I leave you with a grand thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. We were down there, it was a great event, and I want that last group to come sing at my birthday party, because I want the Divas on Fire, holy mackerel.
I'm wondering, Tim, if we just make them close Fort Fest every year. I don't think we'd be tired of them once a year.
No, it was great, and you are right, it was a huge gathering of people, and I didn't see any problems down there, not a bad abuse of alcohol, not a bad, people were just there chilling out in the shade, eating good food and listening to some great music, and you guys did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Kim because I won't give her credit for anything.
I talked to some people that were here from Arkansas, some people that were here from Oklahoma. One couple that came at the last minute because the blues festival that they normally close their season with, it got canceled. And then they heard about this one and they came and they said they were gonna make this their closing festival from now on, so excellent job, and thank you so much for all you guys do for our community.
Thank you for that feedback, that's heartening.
And just kidding about that comment about, you could kill me if she heard me say it.
Okay, so anyone else, we welcome your questions at any time, and thank you for your support.
Next up is Becky Gray, Executive Director of Building Health Incorporated, and Dee Young, Transportation Manager.
Good evening. Thank you so much for making space on your agenda for us tonight. I believe I provided some documents. You should have them. Very good. Dee and I are here to tell you about our transportation program and our organizations. Again, I'm Becky Gray. I'm the Executive Director of Building Health, Inc. We are a nonprofit subsidiary of the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas. We were formed as a nonprofit to address all of the social determinants of health. That's everything in our community, in our built environment, in our daily lives that impacts our health outcomes outside of the clinic. So tonight we're talking about transportation. That's one of the social determinants of health.
And my name is Dee. I'm the one that runs the Caravan program, and we are in several of our communities around here.
In the packet that I provided you, the very first page demonstrates transit-dependent demographics for Bourbon counties. These are demographics that are assembled by the Kansas Rural Transit Assistance Program. And what it really demonstrates is who in your community may need a ride. So a lot of times we think about people who are older or disabled or on lower incomes. What strikes me in Bourbon County is nearly 30% of your households only have one vehicle, when your household size is 2.4. So you can imagine the difficulty in determining who gets the car to do what things. In November of 22, the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas and Building Health, Inc. took over Caravan, which had previously been operated by Via Christi Medical Center in Pittsburgh. And Community Health primarily offered rides to our patients. But what we realized was that the resources and transportation never quite meet the need. And so we have steadily expanded under Dee's leadership and are now providing general public transportation as well as transportation for elderly and disabled. And then Dee recently started providing non-emergency medical transport. So that's regular medical transportation to say, I just heard your gentleman speak about cancer care or dialysis. And that is a unique piece for us. So in the KDOT grant funding world, the money flows from the federal government through the Kansas Department of Transportation, and then local organizations like ours apply for it. KDOT only provides 70% or 80% of the total program costs, and we have to make up the rest of that with local match money. Our non-emergency medical transport can be billed to Medicaid, and we use that billing dollars then to take care of our local match, so that we don't have to charge for rides, and we don't have to ask the communities that we serve to help support. So Dee, you want to talk a little bit about what riders experience?
Yeah, so the riders can call us during our business hours, which is 7:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. They'll get live dispatching, they can schedule rides same day. We try to accommodate anything, even if it's the last minute. We are currently already doing transportation in Bourbon County. We do roughly 10 to 14 trips a day, and we're looking to expand a little bit upon that. And our ridership has been very responsive. There's a lot of people we're having to turn away because there's not enough, and we refer them out to other general public transportation services up here as well.
We have an excellent dispatch team as well as our drivers. Dee has pretty high standards for how he expects these folks to interact with our riders. So oftentimes our dispatch may be getting phone calls just for communication, just for social interaction. And our drivers also recognize that they might be, the only person that rider gets to speak to during the day. So all of our vans and buses are ADA accessible. And thus far, Dee has done a great job representing our community statewide and in the Medicaid billing industry. The last, second to last page is program statistics from November when we started operating Caravan until this past August. And these are for, this data represents rides provided in Bourbon County, Crawford County, and Cherokee counties. Those are the 3 counties we've been operating in. This next grant year, we're expanding into neighboring counties, so we should cover down from Allen County, Neosho, Labette, and Montgomery County, as well as the 3 on the border here. And what we're asking for you tonight is just a letter of support. We have a grant due mid-November, and I did provide a draft letter should you choose to support our efforts. It helps us demonstrate that we've had conversations with local governments about our services and given you all opportunity to ask us questions, helps in our planning, and it demonstrates to KDOT that we do have the support we need locally.
What do you guys charge for non-Medicaid individuals?
Non-Medicaid, there is no charge. We don't even ask for donations or anything from our ridership at all. If they are on the Medicaid side, then we bill Medicaid directly, and that's fair and equitable, this standard. On a ridership standpoint, they won't know one way or another if they're like on the Medicaid side or the general side. If they have Medicaid and Medicaid won't qualify for them for the ride, we don't turn them away, put them on the general public side and still get them where they need to go. It's just a way for us to bridge the gap of what the state gives us to what we need without asking, for a town to give us more money when money's tight everywhere.
So your ask this evening is for us to give you a letter of support turning to the Department of Transportation.
That's correct.
How many rides do you give in Bourbon County? I would like to know those numbers.
In Bourbon County, so we just recently opened the Bourbon County side. I would say we've been operating up here for about 40 days, and we are averaging about 14 rides a day, so that's about 90 a week. So, I don't know, probably, I'd say about 400 roughly rides up
I
here.
just wanna know what that grant funding, how much would be used in Bourbon County. So, that's what, is this letter for all those counties also, or is this just strictly for Bourbon County?
It's for all the counties, and the money they give us goes to all the county, but we're deferring each vehicle. We're basically about 1 vehicle that we have in each of our counties. Pittsburgh, since that's where we're out of, we have 3 vehicles there, but they're the ones that catch the overflow. Since there's a lot of Fort Scott going to Pittsburgh for the hospital, or Columbus coming up to Pittsburgh, so we have the 2 extra vehicles there to bring people around. And then when you get into the non-emergency side, there'll be several more vehicles that'll be stationed around, probably up in Fort Scott, and then a few more down south, just depending on.
We do have some services available. Do you guys work one hand on hand with the other providers here in Fort Scott? Because we do have CHC here in our community, but some of our individuals also go to Kansas City for appointments. Do you guys, if you can't provide those services, do you work with them?
Yes, we work with them. We are not stepping on toes or anything like that, but we always try to find a ride or a way to get somebody to their appointment. And if we are not able to, through our general public transportation, take them to Kansas City, we have community health workers through our organization who will refer them out to that can sometimes give rides, or we know there's other transportation services. And when we start in each community, I try to find the transportation providers, whether it's a small mom and pop or, the CCAP. I want to say the name, but I couldn't think of the initials. So we'll reach out to them, and then we'll kind of establish a flow chart of if we can't do it, we'll refer them out to these people. So that way we make sure everybody in the community is getting the work that they need, and we're not taking, because we want to provide for the community. We don't want to be a deterrent or taking more than we should.
And to your point, Commissioner, the data is all clumped together for 3 counties.
Right, that's what I'd like to know.
We will be breaking it out in the future. We didn't build that mechanism in. Honestly, I think we didn't realize how much this was gonna catch on. So when we first started, we were just telling.
There is a high need because we have several members of the community that don't have access or the funds to have transportation to places.
Absolutely. The number 4 dispatch is in this packet, but I also saw it right in front door on the way into City Hall, so please spread the word.
you guys been in contact with Bourbon County Go?
Yeah, that's CCAP, yeah.
Bourbon County
BBGO
BBGO, yeah, BBGO is a, different brand of it.
is it, they're the 5311, I believe, which is a general public like us. I thought that was CCAP's, but I could be wrong. I thought they were BBGO up here.
Well, I know that it was through Bourbon County Action Team.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
CCAP.
that's CCAP. And yeah, we're working with them. So, we're in the CTD 10, which is, there's districts throughout the state for, transportation providers. And so I'm the secretary on the CTD 10, and I work closely with Scott and Jamie with, CCAP. So they're in a lot of the communities we're in as well. And since we're in non-competing funds, it's just providing more services for the counties. It's not like if we're here, they go, or anything like that. We just offer more options for everybody in the community. And that provides more options for outside of the towns where we can go, 30 miles outside in the county and bring people in. Because those trips can add up a lot of time, and if, you're going 40 minutes each way, you can only do 4 rides that day usually. So it just really helps having more people around.
So it's just a letter of support, nothing else, correct?
Just
Correct. And I just offered the draft to make it easier on whoever's drafting it.
Brad's gonna do a pretty good job at,
Brad can monkey with my language all you want.
Okay,
We need a motion for Brad.
I think so.
you need anything else from us, Brad?
Nope.
Okay,
And I would move that the city manager draft a letter in support of CHCSEK's general public transportation and for the request they made this evening.
second,
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Katie Harrington,
yes.
Edwin Woolhoff,
Yes.
Melissa Guns,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time tonight. We appreciate your support.
Next up, we have Patrick Wood, the Housing Development.
Do you have a packet for us, Tom?
I do.
I have your other one I looked through the other day.
It's pretty much the exact same thing, Katie.
Oh, the other one is binded and it
Oh.
is beautiful.
Sorry.
It's okay.
All right, just to recap, I am here to talk about the development that I'm trying to do and the MIH grant that I'm going after. As you guys know, that it's hard to do any type of housing development in rural America without having incentives. The numbers just don't work for the amount of cost in a new development versus the rents that are received. So all the incentives that are available are typically gone after pretty competitively. So in the last go around, it was one of their highest, most competitive rounds that they've ever had. And there was only one in southeast Kansas that got it. We had 3 going after it just out of Fort Scott. So hopefully, based off of my conversation with the director for this grant, that we have a better shot of getting it this time around. So one of the items in my review that came up was that I didn't have any specific contributions from the city or the county. And they look to have a buy-in from the city and county, that they're involved and they're vested into the development. So, and last time I came, you guys asked me to get with Brad to see what the city can do. So right now, so I didn't know with in-kind work how that would work. When I filled out a letter, we filled out a letter and sent it with my application and how they would look on that. And they're totally fine with in-kind work. They would, basically I asked them, I said, what are you looking for? He said, the average is probably around 10%. It's sometimes less, sometimes more, but the average is probably around 10%. So in talking to Brad, we went out there with Bill and Mr. Kruger and looked at what my plan was. And we think that we got a plan to figure out how to get the water and sewer. Since everything was there at one time, we just need to do some investigating to make sure that it's okay. Stormwater, we're looking at how to get stormwater out of the site. But my ask today is for a contribution letter that basically says either in-kind work or contribution in funds to this development.
What's your project number, are you thinking?
Right now, it's right at 2 million for 6 duplexes.
And you're looking at 10%, hopefully?
That would be great. I'll take whatever I can get.
One?
Who's doing your IRB?
I haven't done it yet. I was gonna try and get them to go through the city. Last time around, we had to go through the city and just.
Would that be a
That would be part of, that's
Does
part
that
of this
help
ask
count?
also.
Yeah, does that help count as in kind?
I didn't ask that question.
I don't think so.
Probably not, but worth asking.
Well.
So that amount works out to be about just over $16,000 per unit. Based off of what you guys have done in the past, that's at the bottom.
Infrastructure, how much is that gonna be?
I will tell you, one of the benefits, and we looked at it today, is additional fire hydrants for the area. Because there's not very many fire hydrants around. Plus it would help with flow going through, the water will be. Of course, the water is already there, so we would just have to tie in, maybe put additional lines. It's all doable.
But like you said, that infrastructure work that we do on, if we did that on the water and sewer, that counts for everything that you need. Okay. And when do you need to submit your paperwork and know from us?
Well, I need to turn it in on the 15th.
15th of November?
Yes. The sooner the better, just because I'm compiling all of my documents.
Brad, we have precedents of, doing a waiver of building permits?
What's that?
Do we have a precedence for waiving
We
building
can,
permits?
we can do that.
Have we done that?
No, we have not. It depends on if you come and get one. It'd be nice.
We have
We do it
not
on purpose,
actively
no.
asked people to get building permits for certain building projects that have been done.
Well, certainly a city that's enforcing a contractor license would ensure that a building permit was issued.
We're gonna get better on that.
And it wasn't necessarily this administration.
yeah.
It's,
So,
previous problem.
that commitment that you're talking about, Pat, is can also be equated in kind.
Yeah, and even the permits, that's a common thing in different municipalities to waive building permits and tap fees and things like that, so.
We're trying to be more consistent.
I get you. Understood.
We actually have something we're gonna look at tonight to
I know, I'm like,
try to create a consistency all across the board. So if it's not gonna inconvenience you, then I'm gonna ask that we table this until we had an opportunity to see if we can come together on this other thing so that we have a plan moving forward where we can be equal with everyone in what we do on creating these environments.
Understood, I'll come back in 2 weeks.
Don't get me wrong, nobody wants more housing in this city than I do, as well as some of the stuff that's there now gone. But
I love coming to your meetings too, so.
That's fine.
Can we ask Brad to go ahead and put
We'll get you
together
an nameplate.
some costs analysis for us?
I can
what
get
we
a
could-
bill, we'll get a rough estimate.
Bill's right there. He heard you.
Do it again.
Thanks, Bill.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you, sir, we appreciate it.
Maybe second for the table.
Second.
Katie Harrington.
Yeah.
Edwin Wolhoff.
Yes.
Melissa Guns. Tim Van Hookey.
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes.
We need to ask Edwin again, because I said yes, and you said Edwin, then you asked
Edwin
the question.
Wolhoff.
Next up on our appearances is Gina Plessen, city parking lot.
Hi, thank you. I have never been to a meeting before, but
They're not normally
looking forward to
like-
meeting you. I have some handouts. It's just like a map that I want to share. Thank you. So I'm from California, and I grew up out here in Garland, Kansas, and went to school in Peekstock, and we have some family members out here. So I was looking at some different properties. I bought like a couple of investments, and then one of the properties that Diane introduced me to was 16 Scott Avenue, which is, I think you guys know that building. So my occupation is I own a child care center out in California for the last 9 years, and it's something that I believe that would benefit Fort Scott. I've been talking with the Bourbon County Department of Health, and they said that there are over 300 child care spots that are needed in this area. So this center will, when it's completed, should make a dent in, definitely it'll be helpful. Why I'm here is now that I have purchased the building, I need an outdoor space for the kids to play because it's part of the child care regulations. And I noticed that there is, I'm not able to purchase the little lot right next to it yet because it's way over my head. It's like $50,000. So there's an empty lot that's like right next to it. And I was wondering if Fort Scott might be interested in letting me develop that area. And I don't really have a graphics program, but I thought like something like this, a playground area that could be used for childcare. I've got a pretty positive approval by the Kansas Department of Health that it could be used for the childcare center. And this is what it looks like right now. It's just a little strip that's next to it, and I think it's owned by Fort Scott. So I don't know if you would be interested in donating it to our center. But this is my proposal today, so.
Do we know who owns this? Do we own this?
Technically, it belongs to the city of Fort Scott. There's some things to be worked out.
Well, and again, for the utility crews, there's a lot of overhead stuff back there. How far does that lot that I guess I can look at this picture here and I know it's not an exact layout, but that is an alleyway back through there.
Oh, yeah.
That,
We'll just go to the building butts up against the fenced area, and then that lot would just carry the fenced area across. Here's another
stuff, any
picture.
poles and stuff back here, utility crews can still need access.
Would this be an area that
This is
other
a little
children,
better.
other than your facility would be able to use? Would it be public use?
During business hours, it would need to be exclusive for the center. After business hours, we would be open to having it open for the center, for the city.
Yes.
So you would take the liability if someone was coming there and destroy it? It's not saying that someone would.
You mean after hours?
Yes. Because you're opening it up
This
to
is
the
the one
public.
that she has in the middle, just,
I mean,
That's,
the one that she has.
that's where I'm,
well, I don't know, like, I guess we would need to
I mean-
repair it if they destroy it.
Question. So this fenced area, is this the property that you haven't been able to buy yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is next
But
to
this is
it,
your building?
this is my building, yeah, and this is just the space that's next to it, yeah.
But there'd still be access down that alleyway.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't
To
affect
get
the
to the
outcome.
utility poles and everything else that's there.
Yes, yes. So I don't know, I would need to look at liability for, like, use for the city. I just need to find out if I would be liable if someone gets hurt, otherwise,
yeah, that's my question. That's what I'm, if someone is to come in on and use that
yeah.
after hours, you're taking on that liability if they were to fall out of a swing or,
So maybe at this
Bumps
point,
and bruises
until I
or
find
something.
out, then I would say it would be not sent to the city, until I find out that
We need to
information.
pull county records and make sure it's a city-owned lot.
Okay.
It's a city-owned area, just to make sure. And it looks like there's 2 entry points there, so maybe.
Bob, do you know, were you involved in this when this was handed over?
Yeah, so I'm wondering if one can.
Yeah, but there wasn't any title work done.
Okay, so
She's abandoned it, so whatever we had, we got back. Without doing title work.
It's still the same title.
So.
Yeah.
It's still titled to us.
Right.
So.
Can I speak on her behalf?
Yes, ma'am.
So when we looked into it, my understanding is that it was donated to somebody else, but, so there's precedence for it to be donated to someone before, but that, the understanding was that it would be developed within a year. And so, nothing has been done with the lot, so it's pretty rough right now. I have spoke to the owner of the property next to it, trying to help her out. But, without saying too much, she has a lot to do to develop what she's doing already. So she's trying to bring a great thing here, but the amount to get that property right next to her is substantial. Where she could be putting that in, to the daycare for our children here, and the lot right now is, like I said, is very rough. It's just, no one's using it. What she plans to do with it, she talked about maybe putting a basketball goal and that kind of thing.
We just need to verify because we can't give away something that's.
No, I understand, no, I totally understand, I totally understand, but I just wanted to speak up for her, because, she has great plans for it, and right now, I mean, there's,
Well, I got a question.
Yeah.
Based on what you just said.
Mhm.
If you're operating under the assumption that we own it, who's she trying to buy it from? That's expensive.
no, that's a lot I'm trying to buy, there's
a lot in between.
There's
Her
a,
building and
yeah,
the lot
and so
she would like to buy.
That's the wrought iron fence pin lot is the
I
one
got
you'd
you.
like to
Okay.
buy.
Yes, I don't have that capacity right now.
That particular, yeah.
And I would like to open, I'm hoping by summer. And so if I use that investment to buy the lot, I won't have the money to put into the building. So just to kind of keep things going and also to get approval for the childcare, Department of Health, I need to have a place attached or very close so that the kids can play, yeah.
So, it does look like there's a lot, an extra lot there and an alleyway. Is this something that the land bank has had possession of before, or?
No.
No,
It was
Okay.
a city, yeah.
city-owned property.
it was a city, it's always been a city-owned property?
No, it was a building at one time.
It's just the same as
Okay.
the golf
Since it was
course
a
property
building,
we looked at.
Yeah. Since the building burned down.
But,
We'll have to check,
yeah, if we can verify that,
because we're gonna have to check on the title and a couple of other things first.
That sounds
And
good. And I can follow up.
We need to look more into this.
That sounds good, okay.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
If we do own it, but we don't have a clear title on it, are you still willing to use it as a playground area? Because there's a lot of times we have properties that we've obtained, but they don't necessarily have a clear title for. And I know for building structures on them, that's a huge risk, for people, but.
She has the building.
Yes.
Right, no, I'm
Just looking for
talking
playground.
about that space, if we don't have a clear title on it. We could, but we technically own it, we could potentially put something on it, or she could use it for whatever. But that's a risk that whatever she puts on there, if whoever does have the title ever comes back and says, no, this is my property, there's legal ramifications of that. So it's just a matter of finding out whether or not we have it, if she was still willing to put something on that without a clear title or not.
I can wait until I find out.
Yeah.
Because it's so important, like there's so much money going into the build out of the building, that if I don't have a space right next to it, then I can't run that business there. So I really need, I'll have to find out that information. And then if you have clear title, I would love to open camp here.
We should be able to get an answer back pretty quick.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Even if it's not a clear title, what I'm saying is you can still, if the city grants you permission, because we own it, you could still put something on it. It's just if the person that
We can
does
actually
own the
convey
title.
it to you under what's
Yeah.
called good claim. Which means whatever we got, you got.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll talk, I don't know.
But you are aware of the two alley easements and all of the utilities and everything that run all around that property?
The alley that goes behind? Yeah,
There's
that's
an
my
alley
alley.
behind and an alley beside.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's next to there's,
Yeah, there's space between where she's talking and
Yes, ma'am,
the
yes.
building
And
and behind,
notice
yeah.
in order,
yeah, I spoke with the lady that owns the whole properties to the end, the corner liquor store, and that whole building. And she said that would be a great place, and so like, and I'm trying to meet all the neighbors and everything, so I think it would be good. Okay, I'll follow up, thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes our appearances for this evening. We do have a public hearing, so we'll need a motion to move into the public hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing regarding resolution number 17, 2023, resolution directing repair or removal of an alleged unsafe and dangerous structure.
Is there a second?
Second. Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Katie Harrington,
Yes.
Edwin Wolhoff,
Yes.
Melissa Guns,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes.
Is there, anyone here from codes regarding this?
Basically, what we need to know is if anybody's gonna be here, if anybody came to basically protest this.
Okay.
And doesn't look like there is. That is really it. It's gonna be, this is an unsafe and dangerous structure that needs to be removed.
Anyone? There's, yeah,
Move to close the public hearing.
second.
So we're approving the resolution.
Well, we're opening and closing the public hearing.
Closing the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Codes will have to come and present this to us.
Katie Harrington,
Yes.
Edwin Wolhoff,
Yes.
Melissa Guns,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes. Moving our new business for the evening, first item is consideration to approve the certificate of appropriateness for the demolition of 10 South National, recommended by the Design Review Board on 9/28/2023. Is there a motion to accept the Design Review Board's approval of the demolition to take place?
I move so.
Second?
Second motion.
Katie Harrington,
Yes.
Edwin Wolhoff,
Yes.
Melissa Guns,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes. Second item is consideration of demolition bids for 10 South National.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, you guys, we've already talked about it, so.
Yes. So it is a come to our attention that, the bids that we solicited did not meet the recommendations that have been brought to us. According to the IBC, a shovel-ready site refers to one that has environmental clearances, infrastructure in place, soil analysis, and implies that it is ready for the developer to begin his project work. It should be noted that the term has different meanings in other states other than Kansas. We were asked to give a shovel-ready site to the developer. The developer is under the understanding that we need to make sure that there are certain other conditions met. So, we have three choices before us this evening. The first is to accept the demolition bids as they were, which will currently not be acceptable, or to go back out for new bids based upon the information that is presented to us, or to not accept any of them. So I believe we are going to go back out for bids based upon the information that has been provided to us.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, when we looked at these and, we got this last meeting, and I think if you remember, we had a special meeting actually, and we got the bids that day. Now, to no fault of anyone, I guess, other than our own, is we used our standard bid demolition request. We have our standard demolition contract, and the city manager was contacted this week and said, you know, that, in speaking with the developer, that, I mean, we are all advocates of getting this beautiful building in here, but these other specifications need to be met. That what we accepted, or we're not accepted, but what we got back in bids, we're not gonna cover those items. So,
we don't believe that it would be fair to any of the people that
any of
bid
the
on
people
that
that bid, exactly,
to do anything other than to go back out for bid
with a 1 week deadline,
with a 1 week deadline based on the information that's been presented to us.
with those specifications.
First off, I motion that we reject all of the current bids.
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Evan Wilhoff,
Yes.
Melissa Guns,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Katie Harrington,
Yes.
Kathy Wells.
Yes.
So the new specifications will be on the bid profile. So we encourage everyone else.
And we don't want people to we don't want our bidders to shortchange themselves either.
No.
We don't wanna come after them after the fact, oh, you have to do this, this, and this, and
Right.
it wasn't in the bid to begin
Yeah,
with.
it would have been unfair to all of the bidders to try to move forward with what we were presenting.
But I would ask that, you know, we limit it to 1 week. Brad, you can coordinate for the requirements that need to be in the new bid request. And I would also, you know, commit to this city commission, the day those bids are open, to coming back for a special meeting to vote on approval and acceptance of one of those bids.
Yes.
So I motion that we, go out for bid again with the specifications that are clear and concise that Brad is going to put together for a limit of 1 week. At which time we will open the sealed bids and do a special session.
Brad, day, do you want it from the day
A
you
week from
submit?
Friday.
Week from
Friday.
From Friday.
Okay, there's gonna be a problem though with getting it out in the paper and out a week is not.
How many times does it have to appear in the paper?
Does it go out? We can post it on the website too, right?
Yes.
If we get hold of Tammy tonight, she should be able to get it into the Saturday paper at the latest, possibly in the paper
Well,
tomorrow.
Brad, did you have the specs?
No, I'd have to work with the engineering.
Yeah, we need to give Brad a second to get the specs together so we can be very clear.
But is it one time that it has to be posted in the paper or
We're gonna
twice?
defer to Jason on that.
I think once is enough.
Once is enough.
Alright, so at a maximum, it'll have to be a week from Saturday. At a minimum, it can be a week from Friday if we can get it in the paper tomorrow.
That's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, but let's be realistic. So 1 week from Saturday, we will close.
28th.
Well, how are we gonna get them in here on a Saturday? There's no, the office.
You won't be able to open them. Just open them on Monday. I would do Monday,
Yeah, the
which would
office
be
is closed.
30th.
So it gives them a few more days, and that's in the paper twice.
And with that said, we do need to look at, I mean, we have, I know we revised recently what was in the house demolition unsafe structure procedures.
We probably need to put together.
We need to put together something for commercial demolition, because I've heard a story that we tried to do this ourselves with another commercial structure years back in this town, and it did not go well for us, in the end.
That's correct.
So I motion.
But luckily, we'll learn from our mistakes and move forward.
So I'd like to amend that to read, to close October 30th and not 1 week from Saturday.
So we're pushing 2 weeks from today. And that's gonna be okay with the.
Yeah, we can't, if it's, I guess, if it's not in, it has to be in for a week. I mean, it can't be in this Saturday's, well, yeah.
You only have to publish it once.
Yeah. Can we not publish it this Saturday with the deadline of the following Friday? Does it have to be a week?
It would still have to be a week, so if we publish it on Saturday, it would have to be at least a minimum of that following Saturday. So by that.
I didn't know if it had to be a full 7 actual days.
But my point is, again, we're putting another 2 week delay on the project.
Yes, and that's unfortunate, but the developer is understanding of this situation, and we, because it's the citizens' money, wanna make sure we're doing this the right way for them and for him and for our community.
I agree it's the right
I
thing
think
to
you
do.
can do it on that Friday that you're talking about.
Yeah.
The concern, excuse me, the concern I would have is that enough time for the bidders
To get a
to
document.
gather their information to meet these new specs? And, you know, to us, we thought we were doing fine.
I worked for a construction company, and anybody that's worth their weight in salt has people on speed dial to find out what their materials are gonna cost.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the rest of this week and all of next week,
Yeah.
it's plenty of time for them to.
Okay, that's my only
In my
concern.
opinion, from the construction field too,
Yeah.
so.
Do we have a second then for Melissa's amended motion?
Do I need to repeat what it is?
But to do it on Monday the 30th?
That will be the close date,
Yes,
Monday
to
the
motion that
30th.
we go out, we
We
go
just said
out
Friday.
for bid.
We were looking for Friday the
Yeah.
28th.
We won't be able to do that because it may not be in the paper till Saturday. And so 7 days from Saturday would be the following Saturday, which
But
means.
Bob said we don't have to
Yeah,
get 7 days.
there's no requirement that there be a 7-day for a publication determination.
Jason, would you concur with that as an engineer on a project like this?
Yes, and as long as those specs are clear and they can know what they need to gather, that's not inherent to them, that should be fine.
Okay,
Then your original motion stands?
so my original motion stands.
Will you repeat that for Lisa, please?
Yes. I motion that we go out to rebid this demolition project again, using the specifications that are going to be provided to Brad for a shovel-ready site, to be published by Saturday and run until October 27th, which would be Friday.
With a October 27th
Bid opening.
bid opening
Yes.
and commission meeting
Special.
special
Special
meeting for approval. Even if it means some of us are by
I
telephone.
have to do my phone.
Okay, so now it's October 27th.
Yes, yep. We wanna get this correctly done, but done as expeditiously as possible.
What time?
5 o'clock,
So
4 o'clock,
bids need to be in by
Noon.
noon.
And then we'll have the meeting
Jason?
at 5.
Bids in by noon?
I would give it till 4
Two?
o'clock.
Should we give until 4?
I'd say
I'd say 4.
2 or 4 is good.
Okay, with the bids needing to be in by 4 o'clock. And we will meet at 5 to open.
Tammy has confirmed that she will have it in the paper on Saturday.
Okay,
Look at you on speed dial.
Because we have it written, correct? The specifications are in, the bid is written already?
There'll be some additions to
Brad
it.
is going to
Oh,
get to her in the paper no later than Saturday. It will be in the paper by Saturday, so she's going to work.
No crunch time for you there.
So, I guess we need, I'll second that.
We got ChatGPT now.
I know.
I can do it in the words of Snoop Dogg for us.
I would suggest you use,
We have a motion and a second, Lisa, will you call vote?
Edwin Woolhoff,
Yes.
Melissa Guns,
yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Katie Harrington,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes.
That was the most chaotic version ever.
It works.
Next item is
I just
consideration.
wanted to say, Mr. Mayor, before we move on, we do appreciate and are trying to work with this developer to get this done for this addition to our city. We appreciate your patience.
And we're trying to do what's best for
We're
those
trying to do what's
on the
best for the
project.
citizens.
And we thank everyone that submitted a bid and hope they'll, resubmit. But we wanna make sure they know what they're getting themselves into.
I'm a taxpayer too, so thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Item C, consideration of bids for the South Industrial Park Water Line Extension. Jason Dickman.
All right, we opened bids last week. And you should have the letter of recommendation in your packet with the bid tab.
Send one of these pieces of paper.
The big sheet,
Well, this is a nice bid.
we got the plans and everything. So yeah, after the bids, we had 5 bids, all good bidders. With the low bidder from Milwaukee Construction Company for $562,284. And I did speak with that contractor today, and they're actually available to start sooner than January 15th. So that's a consideration as well, but
They start tomorrow.
probably not tomorrow. Soon, I think the target, to get through all he's gotta do his bonds and agreements and all that, would be November 6th.
Wow.
Our plan for this project was to use the ARPA money, is what we had discussed originally. Ben, are you still with us?
I am. Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. So the project cost would be $562,284. Is that still within the budget?
Yeah, ARPA's got around 800,000.
Okay.
Jason, could you, tell the citizens what's the benefits of this water line? What is it actually gonna do for us?
So one of the things, this serves the industrial park, so the main 12-inch line runs along the east right-of-way of the highway. So a portion of this project is replacing a line that's currently shut off just south of the Key Industries building. And that's about 800 feet, 600 feet of that. And then south of there, we're extending that 12-inch main down to the KDOT sub-area office and down to that. So there's a vacant parcel just south of there that's industrial. So it gets water service to that point, but also loops in to the east, a 6-inch line that creates a loop all the way back around to, I think it's not Key, but it's the one south of there.
Timken.
but it gets the loop, that's not there now. Right now, that 6-inch dead ends and serves KDOT. So this way, that'll loop that and improve the pressures out there, due to that looping.
And several of our industries out there are water reliant. And the reason it's currently shut off, Bill, is because that line is.
The line has a hole in it underneath a waterway that belongs to the state. And main is currently some 14 foot in depth. So although we have done some repairs on it in the past, we've done numerous repairs on it in the past, and had to open it up. But it's like a yearly event anymore when it's pressurized. So that's one of the reasons why we shut it down and decided that it's time to replace that section.
And this was one of the top 3 proposals that you brought forward?
Yes, it was.
Okay. My question would be, for these water line projects, if you were gonna prioritize all the different needs and lines and locations in this town, would this be number 1 to you?
In my mind, this is a good jumping off point. They all are approximately of the same priority. One other one was at 6 in the bypass. That line's been out of service for several years.
Yeah.
It would be good to get it back into service, I think. But again, we've been without it for several years now.
We've been out without this extension for several years though too.
I think part of the reason for the extension is also, the hope for something future.
I mean, I trust your judgment, I just wanted to hear from you and Jason. If you could do any project you would that would get close to these funds that were available, would this be the number 1 that you would pick out of everything that's needed?
Yeah, I concur with Bill. All 3 of those that were selected are fairly equal in priority. I think for future needs, this one was picked first because something would have needed it. But that kind of fell through. So because of that, we already have plans and we've got a permit approved from the state. So this one's ready to go.
But it still opens up the possibility of industrial expansion to the south, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now
Due to the elevation of KDOT is what he was saying, some of the folks back into the industrial park, BMC, Timken, some of those that are lower elevation, this will help, if not improve, maintain, it may, because I never want to help either maintain or maybe improve water pressure, which is always an issue out there.
Thank you.
That's the way it had been presented to me, was that we have several businesses out there who are relying upon this water. And at least one of them has had multiple times where they have not been able to keep up with their manufacturing quota because of the loss of water pressure.
We've also got several people on the east side that would like a lot better water pressure as well. But no, that's why, and just for the citizens to hear that as far as our experts go, this is what they're saying would be our smartest move right now. But I do remember discussion on the 6th bypass project right there, and I would be very anxious, hopefully, to be able to get to that.
Yeah, so we've looked at that one as well, so it's conceptually kind of laid out, so it's just a matter of putting it together.
Thank you.
So will you get started on that one next, laying everything out, getting the plan together, getting the approval from the state to bore underneath the highway, all that stuff?
Yeah, there's definitely some extra complications with that one, but because we got the railroad and the highway, it's doable.
So in other words, it's gonna take a while to get everything we need.
Yeah.
So it's good to start now.
The railroad will have some time to deal with.
And I know Brad's working on a plan of infrastructure repairs for our water. We talked about that the other day, so I think Brad's on top of what's highest priority too.
Yeah. I believe Brad and our department heads are working with our engineer to develop plans for not only the water, they're working on the road plan, and then they're also working on a sewer plan, is my understanding.
And streets.
And streets, yes, sir.
Which will all be published once they're finalized.
Yes. We will publish and provide all that information once they are finalized.
So I motion that, we I'm so sorry. That we accept, Jason's recommendation for, what's the bidder's name? What is it? NOAC. That we accept the bid from NOAC to, move forward on the South Industrial Park Water Line Extension Project.
For $562,284.
Yes, you have that sheet.
Yes, can I have that, please? That's the original. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Edwin Woha,
Yes.
Melissa Guns,
Yes.
Tim Van Hooky.
Yes.
Katie Harrington,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes. Next item up is consideration of a candidate, Don Tucker, for the land bank appointment. Should all have a letter before you. Don's to join the land bank. Brad, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, and the only thing I have to add is that the land bank committee was good with the application of Don.
Which, I need to pull his letter up here again, but which one of the recommended roles, as far as professional roles, was he filling?
Do you remember that, Lisa?
There was not one specific, that's why I included the ordinance to
Because,
see.
yeah, the ordinance of the land bank has kind of some guidelines.
Yeah, we're very far away from
Yeah.
what it was.
One from the Bourbon County Economic Development, one from the Bourbon County Commission. As far as terms go, one should be from a banking background, one should be from a real estate background, one should be from a developer background, and there's one that's kind of an at-large member.
Well, we do have county commissioner, we have city commissioner, we have a real estate agent, we have a contractor.
I think we're basically missing the bank.
So we're missing, yeah, the only one we're really missing is a bank.
Don, do you ever go to the bank?
Yeah, I guess so.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Well, I would move then to, accept consideration of Don Tucker as a member of the Fort Scott Land Bank.
Second.
Tim Van Hooky.
Yes.
Katie Harrington,
Yes.
Edwin Woha,
Yes.
Melissa Gunn,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes.
You do a great job. Thank you, Don.
Hey Don, we need somebody on the street advisory board too, you want to double dip?
Hey, he's double.
You say not only no, but don't.
But I will reiterate that to our citizens, we are in need of several other people on several other boards. So, you know what all they are, Lisa? I know that the street advisory board needs 2 people.
One on park advisory.
One on the park advisory board,
And we
I
have,
think we have an opening on golf.
an opening on the golf advisory board
we do have quite a few terms
coming up at the end.
coming up at the end, so we do need to reach
Just
out.
get on Facebook and pick somebody that likes to vent.
Yeah, that's a good point, Lisa. I think in November, mid-November, we need to look at these. I know that several of the land bank positions, as an example, were 2-year terms that are coming to an end. So advertise them early.
So right now, we're just filling what's been lacking.
Yeah.
Before the terminations, yeah.
So we invite all of you within our city who would like to have a voice in any of these committees to please put in a letter of application and come help us on our advisory boards. We'll move on to item E, consideration to approve certificate of appropriateness for 12 North Main to install a new sign. Again, this one is recommended by the Design Review Board.
I think that place is gonna be really cool. The pictures of it in here are pretty clear. So I guess my question would be, is there anyone here representing you or had anything else they wanted to add to what we got in the packet? Alright, well, with that said, then I would move to approve the request for the sign outside of the,
Eagle Light.
Yep. 12 North Main, and well, that did get a recommendation by the Design Review Board.
Second,
Katie Harrington,
yes.
Edwin Wolhoff,
Yes.
Melissa Guns,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes. We'll move on to item F, discussion of the Housing Incentives Program. Commissioners, you should have all received a preliminary policy to be used for a housing development incentives program here within our city. With all of the developers coming forward, we are in a great position to be able to provide some housing to our community, which was identified as one of our greatest needs. That being said, in order to make sure that there's a level playing ground amongst all the developers coming to us, I wanted us to take a look at having a policy in place that helps guide us and direct us in our decisions. So before you, you see one that lays out many of the programs that are currently available within our city, different items that can be done for different contractors, and then also lays out about waiving fees, permits, expediting the process, having property waivers, and then has an application and a contact information. It also lays out additional information that would be required to all of the developers presenting us with a project to take a look at. This evening, I wanted to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to look at this. What I would like is if any of you have ideas or comments this evening, make them noted. If not, if you need a little bit more time to look at it, present your comments, your feedbacks. Let's try to get an excellent policy here that will be able to help all of our developers within the community be able to leverage everything that they can to get our citizens some more housing.
I would definitely like a little more time to look at it, but one thing that we do need to do a better job of, not just for new housing development, but for the upkeep of our existing housing, is, for instance, I know I've asked several times, for instance, the NRP, we go out and we get renewed to be eligible for the neighborhood revitalization program every year, and it shocks me how low the numbers are of people that are actually taking advantage of that. And that could not only be used by homeowners, but if you have rental properties. I mean, this is all eligible, and it's a 5% savings, you know, in a lot of cases, for taxes, 50% for years on this upkeep, but I really don't think a lot of the folks in the town are aware of the program and how to use it and take advantage of it. So these programs here, I would like to see, and like I said, I'd like to review it a little more before we take complete action and finality on it, but so many of these that are already out there, we've got to find a way to better educate that these programs are available.
I believe it was Ralph Carlson, who is that's his correct name?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So he and his group help homeowners that need improvements done to their homes finding funding to do those types of things as well. I asked him, need to message him and ask him to come in and share about his program with us one day, but yeah, you know, I think anything we can do to help revitalize. I know Gerard did the NRP program, and there were quite a few households that took advantage of that.
Yep. And we currently have the NRP program all throughout our community, as Commissioner Van Hoke was saying. We're looking right now at doing an RHID on at least 5 properties. If there are additional properties or additional developers who feel like they have a property that would be beneficial to add to the RHID, please contact either Brad Matkin here at the city, Mary Watt, or myself, and let's identify those. We can do all those at the same time as we move forward, but there are several steps. Resolution, 30 days, public notice, public hearing, many steps that we'll have to go through in order to get that program up and running. So, one other item that was brought to my attention was to make sure that if we're going to do some kind of cash incentive, to have it based on the amount of houses and some percentage based upon the cost of those houses to our citizens, and let that be the basis for how much, if we were going to do some kind of cash or in-kind work. The IRBs, the industrial revenue bonds, we can do those as $0 industrial revenue bonds, which then allows the developer to be able to purchase all of their materials without any sales tax, as long as they use the proceeds to feed back into the next house that they develop. So many of these programs are specifically designed and have been utilized by other communities around us to be very successful in developing new housing districts.
So then we'll take some time to look at this. We'll put it in as another agenda item. I would like to probably think that we're probably gonna need to have a work session.
That was gonna be my request, was for us to find a time that we can have a work session to go through this, get everything finalized so that we can have it ready to present at the next commission meeting, would be my hope, because we have at least one developer who's right now needing us to make a decision.
I think that maybe the one after this, I think the next one would be a little bit tight for the number of, if you want this all encompassing, right here, and if we're gonna have adequate time to look at some of these, because I know I myself, but I don't know if anyone else does, I've got a couple of other ideas as well that I'd like to put in here, but I wanna bounce those off and see what they look like against some of these other programs. And I think that's, you know, one thing I think we do sometimes, and I don't wanna do is, I don't wanna rush something to completion just to say we got it done at a certain time. I'd rather make sure we do everything up front correctly and look for all the pits and traps and then for the benefit of the citizens, provide the best end product that we possibly can.
Yes, that was my hope with presenting this way this evening, so that each and every one of you has an opportunity to get your input into this, so that we can have a really excellent plan and policy moving forward for our developers.
And I would like I said, if you wanna put it down for the first meeting in, the second meeting in November, I think that would give me, myself, among others, adequate time.
So would we be able to have a work session before our next commission meeting?
Well, our next commission meeting is
November 7th, I believe.
November 7th,
The 6th.
6th?
Yeah, the 6th is a Monday.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The 7th.
So yeah, I could do a work session on, the 6th.
Okay.
I'm actually out of town the 30th to the 3rd.
Okay. So everyone would be good with a 5 o'clock work session on
Monday the 6th.
Monday the 6th.
And then brought to the agenda on the 20th,
Depending, yes, that would be my hope.
That would be
or 21st, 21st.
21st, yep.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
All right. Thank you all. Item G would be consideration of the new Lake Advisory Board. Commissioner Harrington?
I did, give a handout of all those members that are, leaving the board. The willing but really appreciate members that's stepping up to get on this board. Member at large would be Ed Allen, East Side part-time would be Becky Howard, West Side part-time, Barry Queen, and then the county is Mark Hall. Dean Schreiner is stepping down. So
I'm done.
it's Dave
Time is
Stewart, Shane Wood, and Nancy Mays.
Well, you can always join the street advisory board.
We have a lot of you guys.
We can't get anybody to sit on that.
Oh, great.
Right down your alley, right?
So we need.
Would the ask be to approve these
Yep.
four?
Yes.
Are there any questions, concerns?
They're very nice.
And the lake board's all comfortable with those.
Oh, yeah.
Was that a motion?
We need a motion for approval of
Or you
this.
need a motion?
Mhm.
I would make a motion to approve Ed Allen, Becky Howard, Barry Quinn, and Mark Hall as new members of the Lake Board.
Second.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes,
Katie Harrington,
and thank you that sat on it for your service.
Evan Mulhall,
Yes.
Melissa Gunn,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes. That concludes our new business. We'll move on to our reports and comments for this evening. Brad Mackin.
I have no comment tonight, thank you.
Jason?
Thank you, I just wanted to give a couple updates, for the sewer project across town. They have finished their final work area and they're getting, kind of moving out, clean enough. So in the near future, we'll have a walkthrough, for all that work. Regarding the Wall Street project through KDOT, we did, as I said before, selection was made for the second phase. So now we're working with KDOT to get that moving forward, and we'll probably talk in the future about whether we put those together as one project instead of two, and then how we bid those in the future. So that's coming. And I think for the asphalt paving that we need to get done on the highway and out by the KDOT building, sounds like we're getting close to having all those agreements done so they can get started. So that should be very soon. That's all I got.
Do they have an approximate start date?
Not yet.
3 weeks, 6 weeks?
Sooner the better on that one.
Yes.
So, like I said, I think that they've been in communication with the clerk about the paperwork, so they're getting that sorted out, filing the bonds. So as soon as that's ready, because they still will need a notice to proceed, I think you got them the notice of award. So I will call them tomorrow, see if I can get a date.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Bob, do you have any comments for us this evening?
The only comment I've got is I don't have it completed yet because I don't have the information. But I have been in touch with the Legacy's attorney, and he is taking the MOU that we had for the emergency room, and he's going to flesh out some things that Legacy wants in there as well. And then he'll get it to me. I'm hoping to have it for the first next week. That's all I've got.
Well, thank Legacy for including us in on that, because I know they don't have to.
I know. Well, I was real pleased to get the phone call.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I called their lawyer and I said, hey, this is, you guys got any input on this, whatever? And they were very, he'd been given directions to be very responsive. And you're right, they don't have to, but they've been very generous with his time sharing stuff with me.
The only concerns I have on a contract discussion is you using the word flush.
Okay, never mind.
Thank you, Bob.
Bob, can I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
As we're possibly looking at another piece of property that, we will be doing something with as the city, have you had an opportunity to draw up the paperwork about the 199-year lease?
It's funny you should say that because this morning I called the attorney and said, hey, we talked about some restrictions and you were going to give me your client's input on that. He hadn't called me back yet, so, but I did talk to him.
Okay.
I talked to his machine.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Commissioner Van Hoge?
Yes, just a few things. First of all, let's keep in mind that before we have another meeting, here again, the Halloween's coming up at the end of this month. Watch out for the kids driving around at night. You know, just be safe, be scary, have a lot of fun, but let's be cognizant of that. Also, we have an election coming up. I hope everybody turns out. I believe the candidate forum is next week is that at Memorial Hall again?
I believe so.
Memorial Hall. I've got my daughter and son-in-law and one grandson and a grandson I haven't met yet that's gonna be in town from Washington visiting next week, so I may not get to sit down, so I'm hoping.
Is it the chamber?
Yeah, I hope they're gonna YouTube
It's
it.
at the college.
Is that the college?
Is it at
Okay.
Ella?
Two elections ago was at the college, the last one was actually in Memorial Hall. But hopefully they're gonna YouTube that. This town does a great job of getting involved and what their opinion is, so encourage everyone to find out about the candidates, select the candidates you like, place your vote. And then just kind of a story about the humanity of things. I was privileged enough, and I would like to ask Jace, I don't know if Ben is still on there or not, or Brad. I was privileged enough here this past week to go out to San Diego and participate in the International Association of Chiefs of Police for a few days. And I absolutely think with some of the subject matter conferences they had, some of the technology, some of the information sharing and all of that, I would love to see us budget down the road for maybe to have Chief Pickard and maybe one of his other guys attend something like that with him. I mean, all the latest and greatest stuff is out there, but probably the thing that stuck with me the most in my heart was there were groups of at least 2 people everywhere you went. I mean, you think about how your life is right now. And there was a time when I was in our exhibit booth by myself, and all day long it'd be groups of 2, 4, 5, and here came this one guy in a suit. And it was a European suit, and I know he's like Eastern European, because I know I lived in Germany and I could spot those guys coming down the road. It's like, it looks like, you know, Spetsnaz or somebody, the secret police, the KGB coming ice coffee. And this guy comes up and he's looking at what I got my booth and we're talking, and I looked at his name badge and he was actually a police chief from Ukraine. And spoke pretty good English, and I'm talking to this guy. And I told him, I said, you know, it's horrible what's happening in your country right now, and you're certainly in a lot of our prayers. And he grabbed my hand and he grabbed my arm, and then the guy just broke down crying, because it was just the 2 of us there in the booth. And I mean, he's over here going to this show, but he lives in a country where all this is happening. And I think we take advantage a lot of times of what we got over here. We'd have not had, other than Pearl Harbor, or going back to, you know, when the English were over here, an environment where our neighborhoods were at war and stuff like that. So an absolute appreciation for the first responders that are out there protecting us. And please continue to keep, it's easy to forget, these people that are in other places in the world, like Israel and Ukraine, that their lives are turned upside down every day. That's all I got.
Commissioner Harrington?
A few things, I did talk to Brad a little bit, but I did tell the lake board that I was gonna bring it up. The outlet at the dam, there is a beaver dam, they would like that looked at. East side, south end repair, both boat ramp, there's another one, they would like that to also be repaired. Well,
We are going out for bids for both of those, the main one and that one.
Okay.
So we'll get those both repaired.
They also, Mark Hall said that some of them, the boat ramp has broken away, those
Yes.
slabs. If you can look at those, maybe they just
Yeah.
need pulled and tacked.
Yeah, we'll have the contractor look at those and see what's best. And we are actually looking at widening the one it'd be the south, or it'd be southeast end. We're gonna look at widening it, because it's pretty narrow.
And then they were looking at volunteering for a cleanup day around the lakes, the water is fairly low. Getting a truck out there or something.
We can figure out a time where we can take a roll off for a dump truck and set
There's
it
a lot of
and
tires, they say,
communicate, yeah. We'll have to separate those, but we can do it.
and a bathtub in the lake.
That might have been placed there for a reason,
Yeah,
so.
they said there was, there's a
Yes.
habitat. There's one other thing I can't remember, sorry. I think that's it for now. I'll talk to you about it later, Becky. Other than that, I hope everybody has a good Halloween. The parade is that Saturday, the 28th, October 28th.
Commissioner Walla?
I only have one thing, and it's really just a question for Brad. How's our water situation? Well, it hasn't gotten any better, but
No, it's not getting any better. Right now, the valve at the lake is not open. We did open up Rock Creek's valve about 4.5 turns. Cedar Creek is still open. One thing we've done is, we've started digging out a lake at the golf course, a pond. Found out today that is actually, it could possibly be a water source for the city, but we'd have to have a ton of rain to get it filled to where we could use it. But that might be one of these days we might be able to look at that. Right now, the lake is low, everything's low. I'm gonna get criticized any way I go with this, so I'll just
Sorry, I
say
didn't
it.
put you on the spot.
No, I'll just say, I mean, I feel bad for the farmers, of course. But, we're doing whatever we can to,
But we're not at a point where we need to replace more restrictions or anything like that.
No, not yet, no, and I'm relying heavily on Scott, who's got a ton of, experience, plus he's watching the states and talking to the state about what we need to do.
Rain dance.
And that's what's sad, we don't have any rain in the forecast. It's not there.
Yeah, the next chances are next.
But I mean, I will say this, and I'm gonna put it right out there, and then Facebook, go ahead. If I'm gonna put something on Facebook, it's the truth. I'm not gonna lie, or I wouldn't even put it out there. I mean, how many city managers put stuff out there? Because, I mean, if I'm gonna lie, I'm not gonna put it out there. So if it's out there, it's the truth. And if it's not what people wanna hear, then they can say what they want, but it is the truth. So, but yeah, I can't help the water, I'm sorry, we're gonna do the best we can to keep water going as long as we can. And we're gonna do precautions, we're gonna try to figure out a way that we can get 5-10-year plans that'll help us, and that's what I'm here for. So, but no, don't worry about that question.
If you're digging out that pond of the golf course deeper, and look for any golf balls that say BF on them, you can return them to the right.
You hit one back there, you got problems.
Well, you haven't seen my game.
Yeah, it's a pretty big pond, it's a nice pond.
Commissioner Guns?
A couple of things, we need to revisit some contracts from our first work session that we had over those contracts. I don't know, Brad, if you've had a chance to kind of
I'll give you rough drafts and then we can go, I'll give you time to where you can look at the rough draft and decide if we wanna go ahead and approve them or not.
Okay.
But yeah, so,
I don't want that to fall through the cracks. The other thing that we need to revisit, is the design review board. We had Matthew present us with a plan. We had talked about, you know, maybe the current board need revamped? And that was like months ago, so we need to move forward with doing something with it so that we're not just letting something else fall through the cracks until something happens and.
I would suggest that we put together another work session where we focus solely on that. So if everybody wants to come up with another date, they'd be available for a work session to go over those items.
Yeah, I remember one of the things we had actually discussed with that at one point was looking at the design review board, somebody from codes, and like the planning commission and doing the combination. And that was kicked around, but nothing was ever done beyond that.
So, yep, I just would like to get that back on our radar. Brad, have we already talked about all the plans that you're working on putting together and you're gonna share them out, like priority planning?
yeah, once we
As
clean
they're
them up and make
finalized.
them look nice, we'll
Yeah.
get them out.
That would be great. I need to see if we can find, I don't, so I need to find copies of the PedNet plan and the Smart Growth Strategic Plan. I guess there are some things that commission agreed to in those plans a while back, but I can't find
What was the second one, sorry?
the Smart Growth
Smart,
Strategic
yeah,
Plan.
okay.
But I've never seen those plans, so we need to take a look at those. I just came from a whole week of being at the Kansas Prevention Collaborative Conference, which works on suicide prevention, substance misuse, or substance use prevention. And then also, you know, we talk about the intersection of harm reduction and prevention. And one of the enlightening things that I think I wanna make sure everyone in our communities are aware of is the rise of fentanyl deaths in young children that get a hold of pills that are laced with fentanyl. Missouri and Kansas have both had a very, very large uptake in the last year and a half to 2 years in fentanyl deaths for children under the age of 4. So teach your kids not to, if they find pills somewhere, don't pass them around, take them to a trusted adult so that they can be disposed of, because you don't know what's in them. Also, I'm gonna tout our own event for the, on the 28th in the evening from 6 to 9 is the Voices from the Grave walking tour down at Riverfront Park. Tickets are pre-purchased only, and you can call the chamber and schedule, purchase your tickets and schedule your time slot. Should be a really, really great time. All true stories of people that died and lived and died in Fort Scott, and stories of murder and mayhem, and with a little it's all historical. So should be a good time. We hope that you'll all come out and support us. This is our first fundraising event so that we can do more productions. And also, we are purchasing our insurance, so we will have that certificate to the city.
I was sent a message, it is at the Ellis Fine Arts Center. The meet and greet with the candidates will be at 5:30 with the forum starting at 6 p.m. Again, there at the Ellis Fine Arts Center. Just want to remind everybody on the weekend of the 28th, we will also, starting the 27th, have a tremendous influx of scouts in our area as we are hosting the Regional Scout Jamboree. It's a very exciting thing for our town, so keep your eyes open, make these kids feel welcome. It's a very exciting thing to have all of these organizations coming here to our town to help celebrate the scouts. Also on the 31st, that'll be Halloween. There will be a series of tours at the fort, also called Murder and Mayhem, about different things that took place at the fort that evening, the 31st. Halloween, stop by the fort, enjoy some good times. We have a lot of additional items coming up around Halloween. When did you say the parade was? The Halloween parade is on 28th as well, on Saturday that morning. Bring your kids downtown. There'll be candy for everyone. Many exciting things going on that weekend, so let's just get out, enjoy your community, love on people, and keep your eyes peeled for all the children who are gonna be out trying to have a good time. All that being said, I just wanna one more time give all the glory to God for what He's been doing in our community here recently. We have so many great things taking place, and I believe it's only because of the blessing of our Lord and Savior and what He's continuing to do for our people. So let's continue to thank Him, continue to pray for rain, and continue to know that God is going to take care of us in all instances. That's all I have this evening.
I got one thing.
Yes, sir.
Bob, you might, election day is commission meeting. Everybody okay with meeting that day?
I don't have an issue with it.
Okay, all right, just wanna make sure.
Oh, and wrestling is coming to Fort Scott. Professional wrestling is
Saturday.
coming to
Yes.
Fort Scott this Saturday, so if you don't have tickets.
This Saturday.
Yes, Saturday.
Saturday, live at Memorial Auditorium, race.
So
I
if
do
you
believe
don't
it's on
have
TV.
tickets yet,
It's gonna be on
it's gonna be
TV too,
televised
awesome.
too, so if you don't have tickets, get
Yeah.
your tickets,
Oh,
because they're expecting it to be sold out.
Edwin and I were rejected as a tag team.
Yeah, go crazy. Jump
Just
from the
said
high
they were
ropes.
too rough. I don't know.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Evan Law,
Yes.
Melissa Gunn,
Yes.
Tim Vanderkey,
Yes.
Katie Harrington, Matthew Wells.
Yes.